Women have more and more on their plates and less time and resources to do what women truly do best, which is build community and support each other. But that doesn't mean that because women don't have this readily accessible, that they don't deserve it and they don't need it. We are truly meant to be in community. And sometimes we just aren't finding it naturally. We aren't finding what we need around us, but there is something that we can do about it. And that's what I hope you can gain from this podcast episode today. Welcome to the Love Your Brain podcast, the podcast designed for everyday people who are ready to hop off the negative thought hamster wheel and enjoy a less hostile environment in their own brains. Our brains are where we live our entire lives, and I'm on a mission to help people see that they have everything they need to make it a happier place to be. So join us for this episode of the Love Your Brain podcast. Let's get started. Now, I'm hoping that you have your patient pants on today because I do apologize. I am getting over losing my voice. It's back, but it's a little bit shaky. So you may hear my voice kind of go in and out a little bit on this episode, but I was really excited to bring you this content this week. So here it is anyway. And one other disclaimer for today is that you will hear me talking about women specifically in terms of the examples that we're talking about today. And that's because the majority of our listeners here on the podcast are, in fact, women. That's not to say that this information wouldn't be helpful for everyone, but just know that this is really tailored towards specifically the needs that women have in community. But whoever you are, I know that this information will be helpful for you as well. We all need the things that we talk about in this episode. All right, here we go. Welcome back to the Love Your Brain podcast, or welcome if you're new. Now, if you listened to last week's episode, you probably heard me mention this week I would be sharing with you a bit of a hack to building your own community in a way that you probably would never guess. And I really mean that. This episode is likely going to be not what you're expecting at all. But first, let me tell you the why behind this episode. Now, I'm always having conversations with women that I know are in the stage of life where they're like missing out on something that they need from their community. They're missing a support, whether it's finding the right circle of friends that align with who they are, or finding the support they need from their parents or their siblings, or maybe they've had really deep quality relationships that now those individuals, for whatever reason, are not in their life anymore. Or there's women that are transitioning from a stage where their life was all about supports related to their kids. Now their kids are grown and those supports aren't there anymore. Or maybe they're a single parent who just literally does not have the time or energy to go out and find meaningful relationships. The list goes on and on. Women have more and more on their plates and less time and resources to do what women truly do best, which is build community and support each other. But that doesn't mean that because women don't have this readily accessible, that they don't deserve it and they don't need it. We are truly meant to be in community. And sometimes we just aren't finding it naturally. We aren't finding what we need around us, but there is something that we can do about it. And that's what I hope you can gain from this podcast episode today. Now, this isn't going to be one of those episodes where I'm going to tell you to go out and make new friends, join 10 new clubs, go visit your neighbors, or have hard conversations and try to repair relationships. I'm not here to add a bunch more to your plate because that's simply not what you need. You need something simple, something easy, a way to get the support that you need. So for this, we're going to be tapping into our 6 or 7-year-old selves. Now, you at this age probably had varying connections. Maybe you had a great relationship with your parents, maybe not. Maybe you didn't have a great relationship with your parents. Maybe you were surrounded by siblings that you were close with, or maybe you didn't have that either. Maybe you had a few friends that you met in the neighborhood or in preschool, but also maybe not. Kids around this age don't have a ton of control over their environments. So whatever supports they get naturally just really aren't up to them. It's determined by the people around them. So they just get to work with what they've got. So how do a lot of kids this age handle that? Think back to your 6-year-old self. How did they handle not finding the support they needed in their immediate surroundings? Well, a lot of them created what we refer to as imaginary friends. Now, stick with me here, don't run away. From a neuroscience perspective, and even through a therapeutic standpoint, this is actually really valuable. So, what they found is kids at this age with imaginary friends, they're actually found to be more confident. They feel more capable, and some would say this is large in part because of this imaginary support system that they have or support person that they have. Kids use their connections with their imaginary friend as a way to talk out their ideas, their thoughts. They even can use this relationship to exercise new ways of acting in new roles. These imaginary friends have been found to really help kids to transition and manage change in their life and in their surroundings because they quite literally have created their own support system to stand by them through whatever life is throwing at them. This sounds really great, right? Now, take this concept of imagining or imagery or visualization, as it's often called. It's actually something even used in therapy practices to help people process in a wide variety of settings. Now, when I talk about this concept with people, a lot of times they start to picture someone just like visualizing themselves in a really relaxing place, like they're on a beach or somewhere imaginary that just like takes them off into bliss land, right? And that is a way that it can be used, but it can be used in a much wider application than that. I've personally been guided through quite a few of these visualization practices, and it's really incredible the effect just imagining something has on the brain. Because the brain sees very little difference in actually experiencing something in real life versus just imagining it with great detail in your mind. The effects on the brain in these two scenarios are actually very similar. They even use this imagery with athletes where they have them visualize themselves performing their sports with a lot of detail and really walk them through like every step of what they're going to do when they're out there on the field. And it's almost like the brain is able to do what it needs during that visualization that it can actually perform better in real life as well. And the idea here really has a lot to do with those amazing neural pathways we're always talking about. Those paths of thoughts that our brains are making, where we're thinking about a thought enough times that it actually becomes really concrete part of the reality for our brain. It becomes a belief or a permanent thought process. And these visualizations can actually elicit emotional responses just like you would have in real life if you experience that thing that you're visualizing. It's absolutely wild. And if you listen to last week's episode on mirror neurons, those come into play here as well, where the neurons in our brains actually fire and behave the same during visualizations as if it were a person living that experience. So, hopefully, you're tracking here with me and you see where I'm headed with all of this. You can, in fact, create the support system that you need right now. You can, all on your own, create what you need emotionally from your community by imagining it. Yep, you, all on your own in your house or alone in your car or sitting outside, you can actually practice visualizing or imagining what you need, and your brain can experience it as if it were real. Probably similar to how a lot of us did when we were 6 or 7 interacting with our imaginary friends. Now, if you are already in our online community, the Love Your Brain community, then you will already be getting access to this. But if not, make sure that you join us. The link is down below. It's free to join. Jump in on the fun. I'm going to be sharing some really concrete tools for you to take with this information and make it super easy to use in your day-to-day life. But just to get started working on it, I will give you a few tips now. One tip is to think about the list of what you want or need from a support system or from your community. It's easy to think about what's making us angry, honestly. Why isn't that person doing this for me? Or I'm disappointed they're not showing up for me how I want. But what we're going to do is we're going to take those negative emotions and we're going to find the opposite positive. So, for example, maybe you are frustrated with your friend or neighbor because they're always so negative. They always respond in a really negative way and they get you kicked off in a negative thought spiral. Okay, well, it sounds like you might need to imagine someone who is positive, who has a really positive perspective, helps you to see the positive side of things. So that's something that you're going to make note of on your list. Something that you want or need is a person that sees the positive side of things. Or maybe you hate that your mom never answers your calls when you need to talk to her. Okay, well, it sounds like you might need to imagine someone who is available to you, that's prioritizing time and communication. Make note of that on your list. Or maybe you just don't have anyone in your life who encourages you. You feel like you're so busy building everyone else up, but there's no one out there to build you up. Well, it sounds like you might need to imagine someone who's going to be your encourager, someone who's going to hype you up. That's something you need to add to your list. Okay, so now we have some attributes that we're going to combine all of those things together into one person. And picture them in as much detail as possible. How do they look physically? How do they talk to you? Do they hug you? Are they physically affectionate person? Do they make you feel safe by allowing you space? You can quite literally make this person look and act however feels right for you. And this person becomes your person, your imaginary friend, or really however you want to make them. They could be your imaginary aunt or an imaginary mentor or a wise teacher. Again, it doesn't matter. Use this tool however you want. Then, next tip I would say is take some time to relax enough that you can really get into your own thoughts and use your imagination. So, start by getting somewhere where you can physically relax your body. Take some deep breaths, just sit and relax, and then start visualizing this person you've created. What are they like? How does it feel to interact with them? Now, the more detail that you use in this visualization, the better. So, really try and use as many of your senses as you can. Imagine what they would smell like. What would they look like? How do they sound when they talk to you? And just practice interacting with them. Tell them about your day. Get their perspective. What would this imaginary person say to you back if they had the attributes that you needed your support person to have? How would they respond to you? What have you always wanted to hear from someone that cares about you? You are creating your community live in this moment. So create the community or the support that you've always needed. And this is someone that you can reach out to whenever you need. They're available whenever you need them. How cool is that? And remember what a child would be like in this situation. Think about that little 6-year-old talking out loud to their imaginary friend about everything that happened in their day. Tap into that 6-year-old self. Now, you don't always have to speak out loud to them, but if you can, and in a place where that's appropriate, then honestly give it a whirl. You might be shocked to hear what you say when you're in the company of someone you know cares about you. Now, you might be listening to this still and thinking, wow, this is a really weird idea. And yes, it is. But I can assure you it's such a powerful tool. So maybe give it a try this week. And again, if you haven't already, make sure to join the online community for our Love Your Brain podcast community members. Get in on the conversation and learn some more ways that you can implement this tool. And I'm thinking maybe I might even provide a meditation to go with this if that's something that you guys are interested. So let me know in the comments if that would be helpful for you. All right, have a great week, guys. I hope you found something helpful here today on the Love Your Brain podcast. Maybe a laugh or a feeling of validation, or maybe just a few moments to have company while you do your laundry. Whatever you take from it, I hope you enjoyed your time and leave feeling empowered to be more you every day. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on the next episode, and leave a review. I'd love to hear what you think. Have a great one.